Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. I'm a life and marriage coach for moms, wife, mom of 3, and I'm also an Aries, and for my fellow human design nerds, a sacral manifesting generator. This podcast is for women who want to be happier in their marriage as they navigate their journey through motherhood, even if you're like me and you weren't shown how while growing up. Inside, we're going to be talking about breaking generational cycles when it comes to how to handle conflict in healthy ways, redefining motherhood your way, and prioritizing your well-being, because here, we believe that women don't have to sacrifice their happiness to be a great mom. And a quick note to mamas listening with kids around, you may want to pop your earbuds in because nothing is left unsaid on this show, which means there may be times where something I say isn't meant for little ears. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. Today's episode is going to be about how goal setting can actually help you have the marriage that you want. I wanted to talk to you about how you can approach these next coming months so that you can actually enjoy this holiday season. I know I'm skipping ahead. Hopefully that doesn't stress you out, but I promise this is for a good reason, okay? I want to set you up for success this holiday season. Holidays tend to be full of stress, and a lot of times I hear from my clients that they smile for these pictures, but really they're not feeling all that genuinely happy on the inside. They're feeling stressed out. Their marriage feels like it's on eggshells. And so I wanted to come on here and talk about how goal setting can actually help you create the marriage that you want. Now, we don't normally think about goal setting when it comes to relationships because goal setting is more so related to work stuff, right? And I just had the idea of how connected it is. I talk about being intentional a lot, and this topic is going to be no different, okay? So when we think about goal setting, how do we approach our goals? Like, let's take a non-marriage related topic, right? Let's say you have a goal in your work or at home in mind. What do? What's your first step, right? When you're goal setting, right? You've got the SMART goals, you know how to set the actual goals. But when you're goal setting, the best thing for you to do is actually have the end goal in mind, right? Like, what do I want to happen? What do I want this to look like? What do I want it to feel like? What do I want it to be like? You don't say, okay, well, I want this. Okay, cool, let's go. That could lead you to a result that you may not be satisfied with. But when you get really clear on, okay, I want the end result to be this. So in this case, when it comes to marriage, it's going to be, I want to feel like this, right? So let's say holiday time, come Thanksgiving, I want to feel really connected. Okay, I want to feel really connected. Now, if this is you, you're going to want to ask yourself, well, what do I need to feel connected, right? What do I need to feel connected? When we take the time to get the clarity, that's when we start to map out the pieces that will help us get there. But when we throw out a vague goal, like, oh yeah, I want to just feel connected. Well, there's a lot of ways to feel connected. And sometimes when we ask for feedback from other people, how do you feel connected? Or how do you make sure that you feel connected? It may not work for you, right? So doing this self-inquiry reflective process is what's going to help you create that roadmap to see how you can go from where you are today. Maybe you're feeling disconnected. Maybe you're feeling a little bit connected, but you want to feel more connected to the point that you feel how you want to feel, right? Like, my goal for you is to be genuinely happy in your life and in your marriage. So keeping the end goal in mind and mapping out, okay, well, if I want to feel connected and it looks like this is how I know that I have gotten there. This is how I know I'm here. So let's take it for an example, a visualization. When he passes me by, he makes sure to touch me. When we go to bed, we actually face each other to go to sleep. Or we cuddle and we talk about our day and where our legs are intertwined. Or maybe we're intimate, right? Or dinner time is actually really pleasant and we feel like we're really connecting and talking about our day and our kids are smiling, and that's how I'll know that our connection has been restored or has improved, right? Getting really, really clear. Now, when you identify that specific outcome, you could then ask yourself questions to determine what needs to happen to get there, right? It's not like, okay, like I have this goal in mind, it's going to happen, right? If only. No, some work needs to happen because if it didn't, you'd already have it, right? But right now, you don't have what you want. So there's going to need to be some figuring out to do so that you can keep that goal in mind as you work through the different processes to create what you want over time in your small everyday decisions, in how you're intentional about showing up in your marriage. So that could look like, okay, for us to get to that visualization that I'm holding for our marriage, what needs to happen? Okay, so in order for that to happen, he has to want to hang out with me more. Okay, well, what would make him want to hang out with me more? Oh, okay, so this is a time for you to get really honest with yourself about, oh, okay, so I haven't really been that nice to him, right? So maybe I should be nicer to him. Okay, so what do I need in order to be nicer to him? What do I need to communicate? What do I need to do to support myself in order to have the capacity to be nicer to him, right? It's not about being fake. It's not about being inauthentic. It's about truly giving yourself all the things that you need so that you can genuinely show up and do the things that you need to do or say the things that you need to say in order to create this end outcome, right? So spending time together, thinking about what he might need, because oftentimes we get so consumed with what we need, we don't think about them and their experience of the relationship, right? So setting your pride to the side and saying, yeah, I have needs, but also he probably has needs too. What might those be, right? And then how can you make that time more enjoyable together? So lots of questions that you can ask yourself, but the reason why it's so important to take this time to process through this, to dig in layers deep, to figure out how to create this roadmap for yourself is because when you don't, right? And let's say you have this opportunity to connect and the work hasn't been done, no changes have been made, you're going to either get emotional about it, right? And emotions are wonderful. This is what makes us human. This is what makes up the human experience, is our emotions. And without them, we wouldn't be getting insight on how we can live life more fully. Okay, so emotions are wonderful and they can be really overwhelming, right? They can be really overwhelming and cloud our judgment and have us reacting in the moment in a way that actually takes us further away from our goals. So let's say he's like, hey, let's go out and watch a movie, but none of the work, none of the inner work has been done. And you haven't really properly approached it with the goal setting mentality. You're going to be like, right? You might have an attitude about it. You might not be emotionally available for it. Or you force yourself to go, okay, fine, we need to do this. We want to feel more connected. But then you're not really there. Or maybe you're giving him an attitude, like when you do this goal setting approach, you can check yourself. You can do what you need to be emotionally available. You can do what you need to have you deciding from a place of, does this help me get closer to my goal or farther from my goal? Okay. And it is these like constant questions in your mind that help you check your ego, your pride, and help you get closer to the goal that you have in mind. It's when we don't have this intentional way of processing life that has us pushing our partners away because we feel hurt instead of addressing the hurt, doing something about it, having those conversations that need to be had, supporting ourselves in maybe reducing the stress load that you have, maybe in making sure that you're setting your day up for success to connect. Because yeah, connecting is great, but also it requires our energy, right? So I just want to tell you that sometimes when we don't factor in how our emotions affect us, we can overcomplicate our marriage problems. Now, I want to say majority of my clients that come to me with their problems, all of their problems have a very simple solution. And I'm not trying to dismiss their experience, but as an outsider viewing their relationship, most times, I want to say 9 times out of 10, the solution is actually very simple. But the reason why they cannot see that is because they're allowing their emotions to cloud what they notice, and they're not acting from a place of being intentional about how they're working towards their goal. They have the goal and they want it, but they're not making sure that their actions and their thoughts are actually aligned with meeting that goal, right? I have this too, by the way. I very much do this in a bunch of different areas in my life. So if you're feeling like, oh, I feel called out, I'm calling myself out just as much, okay? But as someone who supports women in being happy in their lives and in their marriages, I can tell you that you are most likely overcomplicating the solution because you're not taking the time to be really intentional and to goal set when it comes to resolving whatever it is that you're trying to resolve. And having, whether it's more open communication, healthier communication, deeper connection, or more supportive collaboration in your marriage, the solution is probably very simple, okay? So get really, really clear on what it is that needs to happen for you to be like, we've arrived, okay? And then work your way backwards. What needs to happen in me? What needs to happen in him? And what can I do to let him know, hey, this is what I need from you, for all of that to be possible. And then keep that intention of, okay, this is my goal, is to feel more connected, so that when you're hit with things that are unexpected, you can choose to act in a way that supports your goal instead of doing what we normally do when we're hurt, right? Which is revert back to our childlike selves and push away people who are hurting us. Okay? Because when we allow our emotions to flood us and we don't take the time to process it and be intentional about what we're doing, that's when it almost seems like our radar becomes more sensitive, right? It tends to blow things up into bigger deals than they actually are. And more times than not, what he did or said or didn't do may not have even been intentional. It's just that you want something and you don't have it. And so your mind might be looking for evidence of why you're not going to get it. Okay? Very similar to something unrelated. Like, let's say you're like, I really want a white Tesla. All of a sudden, you go out driving, and what do you see a million of? White Teslas. Okay? So your brain is very much working the same way. When you're like, I don't have this, I don't feel connected, you're going to look for unconsciously, you're going to look for all the examples of how you're not connected. And you're going to pay a lot of attention to what he's doing that's not helping you feel more connected. And so keeping the goal in mind, you're going to switch your mindset to making sure that you take every opportunity possible to feel connected. Preparing yourself to be available, asking him for what it is that you need, de-stressing, and setting yourself up to have the thing that you want. So that way you're actually consistently making progress. But of course, it's not a linear path. Like, we're human. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to have setbacks. But keeping our eyes on the prize so that we can be intentional about what we're doing instead of just hoping and wishing that it's going to happen. Okay. Now, I want to share with you, if you are desiring for your holiday season to feel more enjoyable, for you to actually feel connected, feel like your communication is improved, feel like your marriage has done a 180. That is by far my favorite testimonial I've ever received from a client of mine. She's in here, by the way. She's in this group. So if you're listening, hi, I miss you. If you are desiring for your marriage to do a 180 towards the positive, then I invite you to join me in an upcoming event that is totally free. Okay. I haven't come up with a name with it. I might just call it Marriage Makeover because I've done this event before, but I'm changing it up a little bit. Okay. So September 22nd, I'm going to be hosting a free workshop where we're going to come together as a community of women over Zoom. And we're going to take time to get really, really clear on what is your goal. And what is stopping you from having the thing that you want in your marriage? And then you're going to get to figure out what your next steps are. What needs to happen in order for you to make progress towards what you want? Okay? Instead of fumbling around wondering, I don't know what to do, I just don't like where I am, we're going to take the time to actually map that out. And then after that, we're going to spend some time getting you the feedback that you need. I'm going to open up the floor for question and answer. If you have questions, I'm here to support you. I'm here to coach you, and it's all for free. Okay. Like I said, my goal for this event is to help set you up for a successful holiday season. I want this holiday season to be the best one you've ever had since having kids. Okay. I don't want this school season to just like go like that. And then all of a sudden you find yourself knee deep in stress, knee deep in conflict with your husband come holiday time. Okay. I want you to feel really resilient, really empowered, and really connected so that you can genuinely enjoy your time as a family. Okay. If this interests you, I will post the link in the show notes. I hope you join us. I look forward to meeting you, to being in community with you, and supporting you. And that's it for this episode. I hope you liked it, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye. If you like this podcast, I invite you to reach out to work together, because how things are right now doesn't have to be how things are for the rest of your life. I'm here to support you in identifying what small shifts you can make so you can improve your communication and connection with your husband while creating a fulfilling life. This means getting specific feedback for your unique life and relationship so that you can focus your effort on what actually creates more joy and connection in your life. Thank you so much for listening to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I hope that this episode helped you deepen your relationship with your husband and, more importantly, with yourself. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a second to leave a review. See you back here next week. Bye.